Yep, rolling.
Okay, very good. All right, let me call the meeting to order. So please follow me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I'm going to ask if we can amend the agenda. So I'd like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of amending the agenda for tonight's meeting? Roll call, Doug, yes. Cammie?
Yes.
Colette?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Larry?
Yep.
Frank?
Yes.
All right, so we will amend the agenda. The first change is I'm going to add an item to new business. I shared the motion form with you earlier. It is a vote to accept the MOU for the Secrets lease. All right, are there any other changes to tonight's agenda?
Yeah, Doug, I'd like to amend the agenda to include a discussion on the pool openings under new business.
Very good. Any other changes to the agenda for tonight's meeting? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of accepting the agenda as amended with the two items we noted, please say aye. Doug, yes. Cammie?
Yes.
Colette?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
All right, the amendment is agended for the agenda is amended for tonight's meeting. Next item on the agenda, approval of minutes from the May 2nd regular meeting. I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of accepting the minutes from the regular meeting on May 2nd, please signify by saying aye. Doug, aye. Cammie?
Aye.
Colette?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
Frank?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the May 12th special meeting.
So moved.
Second. Is there a second? All right, discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of accepting the minutes from the May 12th special meeting as presented, please say aye. Doug, yes. Cammie?
Yes.
Colette?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
All right, next item. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the closed meeting from May 12th.
So moved.
There's second.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of accepting the minutes from the closed meeting on May 12th, please say aye. Doug, yes. Cammie?
Yes.
Colette?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Okay. Next item. I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the special meeting on May 18th.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of accepting the minutes from the special meeting on May 18th, please say aye. Doug, aye. Cammie?
Yes.
Colette?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Doug, real
Yes,
quick,
Tom.
do you have this on private or something? Because I know there are people watching this meeting, but they are not on the participants that I can see. And
Doesn't look
some
like-
people are in it, but I can't see them on our list, and they can't see us on TV or on thing.
Well, there's nothing. Stand
just
by.
ha-
Let's get through this one more item, and then
That's
let me
fine.
address that real quick. Hold on one second. So last item under approval of minutes, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the May 18th closed meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of accepting the minutes from the closed meeting on May 18th, please say aye. Myself, yes. Cammie?
Yes.
Colette?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
All right. So all the minutes have been approved. Next item is President's remarks. Let me stop right there. Tom, you're saying that there are people that cannot see us or cannot attend the meeting? Because I've got I have got the attendees list.
It's at 9, right?
Yeah, and there's only 9 of us.
Yeah,
Now
but there's apparently 8 to 10 other people that are on this meeting, but they're not showing up. And I can only see your picture, Doug, and mine. Everybody
And the
else
only
is-
thing I can see, Doug, is the GM report slide with John, from John.
Hey, John. So, John, you're sharing your screen, right?
Yeah, Michelle is.
Yeah, Michelle.
I had it up, but I stopped sharing until we get to that part.
It's still up.
It's still
Yes.
up there.
Hit that lower box where the.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. So so now I'm able to see. I've got.
We got 15 people in a different,
In some
And-
different meeting somewhere.
Where are you seeing the 15 people?
Colby just texted me and said it was her and 14 others are in another meeting.
Well, they've got to get this is the link for this meeting. Are they sure they've got the right meeting? Because, I mean, that's the only way to get in is use the link that was provided. Have her double check that and make sure.
I just got a message too. How do we get into the meeting link from someone?
Wasn't it posted on the website?
I just got a private message.
Well,
To answer your question, yeah, Doug, it was posted.
All right. Can we confirm
Well,
that one of those
Josh
people?
Davis.
Well, hold on. Can we confirm that one of the people that just contacted, let's say Cammie, that said, "Hey, I can't get in," that they have selected the link off of the website in order to?
Well, it's
In
Josh
order to
Davis,
make
Doug.
sure. Huh?
Josh Davis that's asking that question.
Okay. And it says the link is not working properly. Colby says
Yeah.
they're working on it.
Who is they?
Colby. I don't know the other days.
And Josh
Okay.
Davis is the same one.
Because we've not had this problem before. We've used the same process where, we published a meeting on the website. There's only one link associated with it, and everybody can, the meeting is not marked private or anything like that. So,
Yeah, hey Doug, it's Josh. I copied the link from the meeting invite, and that's what went on the web. Apparently, something happened, and I guess people are in a different room. Is there any way you could text or put in that chat the actual meeting link so we can get that to people?
hold on.
Yep. It should be pretty easy to circulate this around once we have the correct link.
Hold on. Let's see, chat. Hold on.
All he's doing is, did the governor make any announcement tonight?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
entering phase 2, but
He announced nothing about restaurants or bars, period. Cool bag.
What else? Anything else?
Yeah, you can go get a manicure.
Oh, we can?
Yes.
Oh, everything's me.
Colby just sent the link, Doug. You want me to put it on here?
Well, I just put the link in the chat section.
No, it's not here yet.
So did he say we can gather in groups of 50 now?
He said in that
No.
quote that nobody is actually gathering in groups of 10 anyway. They're all more than that. So apparently that's not working anywhere in the country. So basically he doesn't care. That's what he said in a nutshell. That the groups of 10 situation doesn't, that nobody's actually abiding by that rule. So he can't do anything about it. It's very vague.
But he didn't change it though. He's just not
No.
concerned about
He basically said, if everybody else is doing it, go ahead and do it too.
it.
I've seen a couple of, I just see that what's interesting is if you're in the chat, you're in the meeting. But anyway, I put it in, I put the URL, the link for for this meeting in the chat section. Hopefully I see an individual who's from outside of our organization just got on.
Well, it's Charles, but I don't see the link though. That didn't come up on my chat.
I don't either.
Chat.
I'm on it. It's just yours didn't come up. Charles Brittle is in. Jim Trummel is in. But
If
your
you
chat didn't-
if you select chat,
I see it.
you
guys.
know,
I'm looking at it.
there's it says up at the very top, it says board meeting chat.
I'm looking.
Yes, Michelle's in, Frank, Josh.
I see the chat too, Doug, but I don't see your link. All I see is a message from me, then Michelle, and then Charles Burdell coming in, and Jim Trummel coming in. I don't see the link.
I'm going to copy.
Okay, now I
put
see
it in
it.
there.
How about
There.
now?
Yep, just
now
came
I
up.
see it.
Hey, Doug, you got to push enter every once in a while.
No, there was actually a different link called board meeting that I put that link on. All right.
Joke. Don't be so sensitive.
I'm not.
You're getting on my last nerve.
I was just, just should we just start a new link for this?
No, it'll be a mess.
It's a mess now.
I just sent your link, Doug, to Colby via email to have her try that one.
Let's see, Jim Trummel, Charles Burdell, Michelle Bennett, Tom, Josh, Cammie, us, and you know what the other thing is? How come we only see 4 screens up instead of
I got 5.
I've got 4.
I've got 4. I've got 5.
Yep. We might have to start a new one. I'm just telling you. Because this is too big of a meeting. If you have 15 other people waiting for it, we might just have to do a new link, start the meeting at 7:30.
Oh, wait a minute.
Well, here's another one. Amy Hassan is waiting in the lobby. All right. I'm seeing people waiting in the lobby.
There we
got
go. Colby's in. Some guy, I just see his big head.
I
That's got to be
shared
that
it with
guy-
everybody
that
and
guy from the
got on
Gazette.
and told them, so they should start coming in.
All right.
Okay, was that the link I sent, Colby?
Yes, I and then I saw Doug's above it, but I posted that one. Yes.
Okay,
Hi, Greg.
Thank you.
cool.
Thanks for the hookup, Colby. Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, give everybody 2 more minutes before we move to the next item on the agenda. Looks like we're getting more folks, and as they join, I'll have to remind them, those that are joining, please make sure you mute your microphone, turn off your camera, and we can continue having the meeting as necessary.
Okay.
Got to give them time to get in here. I mean, there's that many people waiting. Give them a chance. Everybody wants to swim.
So
I don't understand what the problem is with the link. We've done this 6 or 7 times already, and now all of a sudden we've got a problem with the link.
I know, Doug.
Doug,
No matter what it is, there's a problem. And let's wait for everybody to get on it, and we'll be okay.
And I'm only seeing video for Doug, John, Larry and myself. I
Well,
don't,
I'm down here.
Here, and I turned my video off, so
now
now
I see Tom. Now I see Janicek. I don't see Frank. I don't see
Frank, your
Cam.
video is not on.
I'm just gonna turn the video
It says the camera is on. So let's try it. Hold on.
on. Mercy.
Okay,
There
now's
you
it better?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like
On.
that
Yeah.
Geico
How
commercial.
about you, Cammy?
I'm on. My video's on. My camera's
that?
looking at me.
Oh, this is gonna make the front page of the Gazette.
I think next month's meeting will be in person.
Yes, it will. Assateague Group.
Yes, it will. I'm already telling you that. Yes, it will.
Is that on record there, Larry?
Can we
Yes.
blame MediaCom for this?
No,
No, I wouldn't
this
blame.
is, this is not a MediaCom issue. This is a Teams issue. Somehow the URL for the link is not working, or something's not working properly.
Now I see you, Cammy.
All right, I mean, we got the directors here, but I think it's important that, you know, the people that want to sit in on this meeting get a chance to sit in on this meeting. I'm a little uncomfortable in moving forward without having these people available to hear our discussion tonight.
Can somebody contact Colby and find out if she can message all those people again, since she's in that meeting?
I'm going back in there on my phone and
Okay.
seeing if I can just make sure, because there was like 16 people in it. So I'll
And
go back
now
in there.
there are 14 people in it and one waiting in the lobby.
Where do you see the lobby? I don't see any lobbies.
It's a little purple thing that comes up.
I don't see it.
H.
Now we got it. Marty Clark's here. Now we can start.
They're coming. They're coming.
Thanks, Marty.
That's 8 additional.
Andy, maybe we should have stayed at the yacht club.
Yeah. Guys, go run somewhere else. Go.
All right, we got to get going. All right, for those folks that have joined the meeting, if this is the first time you've attended one of the virtual meetings, we have a couple of just simple requests. Number one, please mute your microphone and turn off your camera so that the folks that are participating are the ones that are engaged in the meeting. We want to stay away from any background noise or distractions, so I appreciate the help on that. For those of you who just joined, we amended the agenda for tonight's meeting and added 2 items. They'll come up in new business. We approved the minutes for several of the previous meetings. And move into president's remarks. I got a couple of things. Number one, the 2020 census. There's been a lot of discussion at the county level, and they really want to make sure that. But by the way, if you join the meeting and you're not part of the board, please turn your camera off and please mute your microphone. Thank you. The 2020 census has been extended to the 31st of October. There's been a real push from the folks that are running at the county level to get the participation from Worcester County, not specifically Ocean Pines, but specifically Worcester County. They're really making a push for that. Again, anybody that you can socialize that need to, I ask that you do so. Again, I'm sure everybody is aware that the funding for our area is based on the amount of folks that reply and are counted in the census. And therefore, it really doesn't take a whole lot of time. You can do it online. I've done it, and it's pretty straightforward. So anybody that is available, that if you certainly ask them, please remind them to complete the 2020 census, as it'll help everybody around the area. Second thing is I just want to give kudos to the folks. I went to the yacht club on last Friday when they opened up. Everybody was wearing masks when they were coming in. That the staff had an entryway, and they brought people to tables. I think it's a kudo not only to the Matador Company from organizing it, but to the folks that spent time going there. There's to be able to practice social distancing, understand that the pandemic is not over, but we're making minor adjustments. I was very pleased and encouraged that the community here in Ocean Pines is reacting accordingly, and kudos to them. And I expect to see that going forward, and I'm very, very happy to see that happened. The third thing I wanted to mention was with regard to Comcast. If we've had several complaints regarding them penetrating water lines, electrical lines, MediaCom, so on and so forth. They've now gone to, they brought another company that does GPR, or ground penetrating radar. So rather than relying on the marks that have been put down on the street that are from the various utility companies and so on and so forth, they are now taking a more proactive approach and making sure that they don't just count on those lines, and they will try to the very least minimize. Hopefully they can eliminate any future cuts, but I'm not going to go that far, but they'll certainly minimize them, because the ground penetrating radar gives them a much better picture of what's underneath, and they can control their digging that way. So beyond that, I just wanted to mention those three things. You all know that we'll be discussing the pools, which I know is a very important issue, and that'll happen in new business. So those are all the remarks I have for the time being. The next item on the agenda is the GM report. So John.
Thank you, Doug. Michelle? Thank you, Michelle. I don't know if they could, okay. GM report, next slide. Okay, so the GM team report. So we'll start off with the clubhouse. This will be the last time I'll report the clubhouse and the cart barn. Both are completed pretty much within a month or on time. The CO was received. The budget for the clubhouse, as repeated over time, was $1.6 million. The final price is coming in about $1.5 million. We'll just probably won't report on it anymore, but maybe we get some invoices in or whatever. But 1.5 out of the 1.6 all in. Cart barn, 312. Budget was 430,000. Police building still green. Estimated completion September. Probably will be completed beforehand. Budget is 1.276. You can see how much we spent already, 765,000. All indications right now is we're on track and on that budget. North Star Software, well, it's listed as a green-yellow. We've extended it to December 2020. The budget was 400,000. We've come in right now, we're at 437,000. The budget piece, to break out the piece for North Star itself with the company, is right now under the budgeted amount. However, we believe we will spend more there, but the consultant apparently has come in over budget. The admin renovation is green. Budget is 220,000. We've spent as of now 101,000. On track. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk. Let me just see if I can get this out of the way. So, as you know, we opened golf. We opened it within a day or two of the governor opening all golf operations. It was Saturday, May 9th. The restrictions, the clubhouse and golf shops were to remain closed. We did not have CO at the time, moved check-in to Starter's Shed. So you can check in at Starter's Shed. It has run pretty smoothly. It's one person per cart unless they reside in the same household. So one thing we are seeing, and we are keeping track of the numbers, as well as seeing how the whole experience goes for all the golfers, it's been very positive. We're probably doing about 60% business. One of the main reasons Sean pointed out is he has turned away golfers because we can only put one golfer to a cart. So everything is going well. It opened, so it does show that you can open under these restrictions. But I have to say it did take a lot of manpower and having the golf pro there for 7 days a week. No bunker rakes still, no touching flag sticks, no beverage cart was allowed at the beginning, but since has been allowed. The cleaning, we do sanitize the carts, cleaned after each use, the range balls also. Staff wears protective gloves and masks. Let me just move this out. It's getting my way. Where are we? Well, today the golf shop remains closed, but we also have not received the furniture and fixtures. John, I think, has an estimate somewhere at the end of June. The factory did reopen. Same thing with the merchandise. The factory has reopened, and we're just looking for dates, but that's why we don't have that. It has obviously affected our merchandise sales. And we're hoping that the next phase, well, we heard some today, so I'm not going to get into it. Right now, it's the the way it has been, and it's been positive. Next slide, please. Next slide. All right, so bulkheads pretty much coming to an end for the season. I have gotten numerous calls. As you know, we're working in the Wood Duck area. So when you drive Ocean Parkway, you see a lot of activity. That area was not a staging area. It never was. We have a staging area. There has been a lot of loading and unloading there because that's where they're working. They will be done. Let me just give you some updates because there's a lot of good stuff going on there, and it's probably going to all be completed within the next 2 weeks. So the front end of Ocean Parkway will be completed June 12th. That's what you're seeing every day. The original date was May 1st. Obviously, with the COVID-19, there were materials delayed, as well as with the contract that we had, knowing whether or not he can get his team assembled. But they have done, I think, a very good job. So it's the 15-foot of easements will be completed by Friday, June 5th. I'll show you some slides on that and how it looks and how it's going to look when it's done. The front end of Ocean Parkway between entrance. Time somebody comes in, it goes over it. Wood Duck 1 and Wood Duck 2 will be sodded 6 feet out and stabilized with seating. North Pintail, lot to be completed around June 22nd. The new season will start in September. Next slide, please. All right, so as I mentioned, I know you've seen a lot of activity there. There has been a lot of trucks there in and out. Here's what it's looking like today, and I give you the dates over the next couple of days. It'll be basically completed, and everything should be gone. Right? They will be working down in the corner there, and that might take another week or two on the bulkheads for Ocean Ponds. But that's how it'll look, and I think it'll be pretty nice at the end of the day. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so there's kind of two slides here, the back of some of the houses on the other side of Wood Duck. So you can see what the finished product looks like. All right, so I think they're doing a really good job. I've gotten some positive feedback from the homeowners. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. I don't know if she's waiting. I think she might be texting me. Hold on. So she's saying for some reason, Doug, there's a time lapse. She is clicking them. There we go. So there is a time lapse. Okay, so we wanted to get a picture in there. You'll probably see more pictures over the next month or two. This is our police station corner shot. You can see the outside is obviously pretty much complete. They are working obviously in the inside. It's on track, and now they're doing some site work there, and Public Works will be in there soon. Next slide, please. Okay, so let me just say, we are in this COVID-19 situation. I've said this many times, there's no playbook, and there are a lot of unanticipated challenges. So with that said, these are estimates of our April 12-month, well, this is for the month for our fiscal year. They're, as usual at this time, unaudited. But Steve just left a little while ago, and I have complete confidence that we will have them probably over the next day, if not tomorrow, sent out to everybody. I saw all the department heads reviewed them today. So I'm pretty comfortable giving out these numbers right now. So if we just go over, this is for the month, and we've been pretty much predicting over 100,000 for the month. So we came in pretty good as far as I'm concerned in this situation. So I'm going to read off, I'm going to go through the favorable and unfavorable versus budget for the month. So on the On the unfavorable side, Rec and Parks came in for the month, unfavorable 12,000, mostly due to special events. Obviously, everything here is going to be on revenue, the ones I tell you about. It's because of COVID-19 mostly. Aquatics was down for the month 10,000. Golf was down 70,000. If it wasn't for that, golf probably would have definitely came in favorable to budget for the year. But a lot happened in April. I still think it was better than what I thought could happen. And as you know, that he reopened and we're looking good. Yacht Club for the month, although very favorable for year to date, which I'll show you, for the month they were unfavorable 33,000. This was offset, that was offset with favorability in general maintenance, public works, and the police department. Again, some of it because of the COVID-19 in the other direction. Next slide, please. So basically 100,000 unfavorable for those that want to know these numbers for April, mostly COVID-19. All right, so let's look at year to date. All right, again, unaudited 12 months. These are an estimate, but pretty much will be from what Steve told me on his way out, where we'll probably be tomorrow and the next day when he sends out the controller's report. Again, let's focus on the operating profit. You can see for the year, $572,000 favorable. All right. Where did we get this favorability and what exactly happened? Rec and Parks favorable, $69,000. General maintenance, we've been reporting this all year. We came in favorable, $226,000. A lot of it was the deferred maintenance. As you know, obviously, we're working on several buildings, new buildings, so we didn't use that money. But deferred maintenance is a big part of us going forward. Public Works, favorable, $155,000. They had positions they had to fill. They had a hard time filling them. A lot of it with the COVID-19 also. If some of our workers do go out because of COVID-19, what we saw even with golf maintenance is that the government reimburses us to a certain degree. The beach parking, favorable, $22,000. Beach Club, favorable, $22,000. Beach parking, $35,000 favorable. Yacht Club, $202,000 favorable to budget. Now remember, the budget was a loss of $100,000. That was part of the contract. So they came in favorable, $200,000. Good job there, as well as everybody else on that. Marina, favorable, $44,000. Offset with which
we may have lost John.
lost me.
There we go, John. Go ahead. Say that again about.
So the bad debt, we did book it. Usually we book it at audit time. Steve and I wanted to try to get everything in there. So that's something that usually came up on audit. So we booked it. So the general admin was unfavorable, $107,000. Aquatics unfavorable, $46,000. Golf, including the Turns Grill, unfavorable to budget, $73,000. So overall, the big number that you all want is the $571,000. Okay? That's it. Next
Can I
slide.
ask a question?
All right.
Sure.
Thank you, John. Tom, go ahead.
Can you, what's the discrepancy in the North Star, the difference to 37,000 for the consultant? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, so actually it's not, well.
I didn't
so
write the number down. Come on.
So I know what you're saying with the 37. So we were unfavorable. I reported unfavorable for the whole project. The consultant, I believe, was, they had budgeted that person for 90,000, and that person is coming in well over 125,000. It's being addressed.
Okay, so that's not a concrete number. That's just something you guys have to negotiate.
No, right now, that's the number. We're looking at what else has to be done and what we're going to do about that.
Okay. And I would be remiss in not asking the financials that we didn't get until now, and we won't have until tomorrow.
That's correct.
Is there a reason? I have to ask, because I'm getting emails, so I just have to ask.
That's pretty consistent with the prior years from what I saw, even when I was on BNF. A lot going on with North Star, a lot going on with the point of sale, a lot going on.
Plus, we had the audit going on at this point too, in addition to closing out the monthly numbers and the year-end numbers.
They have been on the call. They were being on the call. A lot of calls with North Star. There's a lot going on back there.
I mean, how's the North Star thing going? Obviously, we're over budget and there's a lot going on and we're behind on financials. I'm just asking because I'm not a part of that.
No,
I mean,
well,
listen,
Tom,
I just want to know.
they're all good questions, Tom. I'm going to answer them for you.
Yeah.
So, so I think a lot of the board members, at least the ones I update every week, know. So we purchased a very customizable product. B&F saw that, we said that. Now, any product we bought, or that the team or whatever bought at the time, nobody has a product that fits perfectly for Ocean Pines. So a lot of it had to be customized. Anybody that's worked on software, certainly I have, could tell you, it's not the easiest thing. We also put it in, or decisions were made to put it in, during a time when we had many initiatives going on, when the team itself was stretched on many other items. So, you know, if you go back and see and listen to the updates I gave on that, I said that. And I even said that when I was on B&F, that the time we chose to put it in, there was a lot going on here. And that's fine. And the team is you know, rising to the occasion. We've had people that I'm very proud of, many people, Kathleen, Cook, Debbie, Ruth Ann, Julia, I can keep going, who have stepped up. Now, all the departments this is the best I've heard the feedback from them, but it's taking a lot of time. Same thing with the point of sale system. That's taking a lot of Steve's time, a lot of Julia's time. So I don't know what else to say on that.
That's
Plus
fine.
all the other initiatives. Yeah, and again, as far as timing, I think we're pretty much in line with what I saw in other years when I was on B&F, to be honest with you, at this time of the year.
But are we on track? Are we on track with this North? Because right now it's going to be our busiest time, even though we have all the craziness going on. Are we on track with the North Star system where you want to be? I mean, based on, I mean, we're over with the consultant, but are we on track getting that implemented into our, other than food and beverage, all the rest, the admin situation and everything else we have? Are we on track with that based on where we were supposed to be? Because right now we're going to get really busy.
Yeah, so if you look on the first slide that I had there where I put December 2020, and I've been reporting this for several months, that's an extended. The original plans was that the system would be all in by now. And I can tell you the point of sale system is not. And that's been a lot of work there. I don't anticipate that point of sale system to be ready over the next couple of months. We did put in stopgap measures that I think everybody's fine with. The point of sale is going to take more time. I can't tell you when it will be completed. We are continuing to work on it. We've had updates with that. I've updated Doug, Larry, Steve. As far as the other departments, I can tell you with that memberships, there was a lot of work there across the board, everywhere, aquatics everywhere. They seem to be more positive today than they were 3 months ago. So it'll take more time, but I'm not going to say that the reason that we're a couple days late on the financials is because of the system. No, it's because of all the other stuff that the team's working on.
John, if I could
Yes.
ask a question,
All right.
It sounds like you've got a workaround in place, and do you think that workaround will serve us for long-term, 6 months, whatever? I mean, or is it a temporary patch?
Yeah, so again, very good question. So let's focus on the point of sale system, and with working and teaming up with Ralph and his team, I'm very confident in saying that we have in place, if you want to call it a workaround, I'll call it a stopgap measure. We did that for the beach club, and now we're going to do it for the clubhouse. I just approved it the other day. And we're going to stay the course that we were at the yacht club. Ralph is comfortable with it. He's most comfortable with the way we went, and I'm comfortable with it while we work on the point of sale system. It gives us more time, and I won't put it in or agree until Ralph and everybody else is comfortable with it, and then I'm comfortable with it.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's the treasurer's report. Larry?
The next slide, please. Okay, overall, I had mentioned last month that Our laddered investments, back up, would be down this month. So our through April, our rate of return is at 1.9%. That's down from the 2% number. April 30th, the association had approximately 12.3 million in cash, 6.1 in CDARS, 6.2 money markets, and they're all fully insured. Next slide, please. Our reserves, and again, these are unaudited until the audit's done. We're projecting that our replacement reserve account as of April 30th will be 3.4 million, bulkheads at 1.7, and roads at.
Hey, Larry, can you stop for a second, please? There's another screen up on the screen. Who's got control of the screen, please? You got to make sure that you follow appropriate protocol when you're running a virtual meeting, folks. All right, there should be one person controlling that screen, and I see something else right now.
There we go. Michelle should have it. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, again, the replacement reserves as of April 30th. And again, let me emphasize, these are the unaudited numbers, but 3.4 million. Bulkheads at 1.7. The roads, we've got $500,000 there. Total 5.6 million. I'm not going to, I've been, giving you a projection as we've moved forward this year as to where we thought we were going to be. This is where we are. John went through the project, so we've completed. He just gave you a rundown of where we are on the numbers. So these numbers take that into consideration. The one other number I wanted to give you under the treasurer's report is the assessments we've received as of the 31st of May, $6,300,947 of our $9,126,236. So that's 69% of the assessment dollars that have been received by June 1st. So we're still, 31% of the money still needs to come in. They've got till August 1st.
Thank you, Larry.
All right, yeah, thanks.
All right. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Those of you who would like to make a public comment, I don't know if everybody can get the raise your hand feature. Please, those of you who are not part of the meeting, if you would make sure you please turn off your cameras and mute your microphone so that we don't get any background noise, we don't get any distractions. Are there any folks on here, and other than if you don't have the raise your hand feature, you're just going to have to turn on your microphone and ask to be heard for a public comment. As always, public comments, please state your name and your address. So the floor is now open for public comments.
Hey, Tony Tedeschi, could you turn your camera off?
Still soliciting for public comments. All right, seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of the meeting. Move on to the next item on the agenda, that is capital purchase requests. We have no capital purchase requests for this month. So the next item on our agenda is CPI violations. We have no CPI violations to report in this current month. Therefore, the next item on the agenda is unfinished business. We have no unfinished business from the previous meeting, so we can move into the items on the agenda called new business. Excuse me, there's a Tony Tedeschi. Could you please turn your camera off? And we just want to make sure we have enough room for the folks that are interacting accordingly. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is new business. The first item was added as part of amending the agenda for tonight's meeting, and it was a motion to accept the MOU from Secrets. It's made by me. Motion, I move to approve the memorandum of understanding with Secrets for use of the beachside and bayside parking lots. Purpose and effect, the MOU will be the legal reference document to memorialize changes in the fee structure associated with the leases for the noted parking lots for the current fiscal year. The background for this, as their business has been affected by COVID-19 pandemic, Secrets approached us to ask if we would give them consideration for changes in the fee structure of the existing leases associated with the use of the OPA-owned beachside and bayside parking lots. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
Can I put the comment, Mr. Chairman, please?
Tammy?
A brief comment. I thought the MOU was very, very well written, and my concern, coming as an attorney, is I wanted to make sure that none of the terms in the original contract would be subject to reinterpretation, and I went over it with kind of a fine-tooth comb, and I was very pleased to see that whoever wrote that did a great job.
Other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion to accept the MOU for the Secrets lease? Let's do it by roll call. Myself, yes. Cammie?
Yes.
Colette?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Frank, motion passes. Let me stop right there for a second. For those people that are attending the meeting, I was remiss in not mentioning that Director Tuttle was excused from the meeting tonight. He had another situation come up, so he is not. He was not able to attend, but he has provided some background information for not only the discussion on the MOU that we just had, but the discussion we will have on the pools. So I just want to make sure that Mr. Director Tuttle did have a valid excuse for not attending tonight's meeting. So the next item on the agenda was also an item that was added under new business, a discussion for the pool opening. Larry, you want to start us off, please? Actually, Larry brought up the item. I'd like John to start off, and then we can figure out where we go from there.
Good.
I'm sorry, Doug.
So John, it's an open discussion, all right? As we handle open discussions during our, Robert's Rules of Order meeting, we can discuss amongst ourselves. I don't have to rescind Robert's Rules of Order in order to carry out a discussion like this. So, with that in mind, we've got the open item of pool openings in conjunction with the directive that was given out by the state of Maryland Health Department. And there's been a lot of questions from the membership. So maybe we start off with a statement, and I know each one of us have a set of items that we want to talk about and comments to make. So John, if you can start us off, please.
Oh,
Thank
absolutely. Thank you. I actually like to start off. So just like with golf, the aquatics and all our amenities, we have had plans in place. Everybody has benchmarked. We had plans all detailed for all of them. That's why golf was able to open up within a day and has been successful. And same thing with aquatics. The team's been in place, and we've been able to keep our teams in place because of actions taken by this board and others. So with that said, obviously now we can open the pools based upon what the governor said. It could be at 25%. The aquatics team has presented their plan to the board. We have had some vetting. We've had meetings with, I think 3 board members the other day. And we've brought this forward that we would like to open Saturday, at least with the yacht club, and if not, the beach club on Sunday. There is a plan for all the pools to be rolled out over that very short time. So that's where we're at. We've gone to the board and we've given the plan. And we're here, we'll answer any questions just like the aquatics team did yesterday. There also is a positive side too with opening the pools, specifically the beach club and the yacht club. Ralph reached out to me right after Memorial Day and asked me about that because on his side, he believes there would be favorability on the food side, having those pools opened.
Okay.
John, Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Cammie, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. Would you address for us and for those that are waiting in the lobby, and I don't mean to be presumptive here, but what that plan is as far as, is it okay to talk about reservations? Where are we with rolling this out, the didactics of it?
Yeah, so the detailed plan, like I said, the aquatics team presented that to several board members yesterday. We have gone through it. As far as the reservations, I just saw today where Michelle Bennett activated several cell phones that we had for Kobe for her plan for the reservations. She did present to us yesterday how they would do it and the resources they would have. They were comfortable and confident in how they would approach that. As far as the rest of your questions, but the biggest thing will be monitoring, and the same thing we saw with golf is that we really need a senior team there, especially in the beginning over several weeks. And I believe we have that team, and I believe that team has followed the mandates of the governor and CDC and has actively been talking to the CDC, Kathleen Colby. So I believe that they're ready there. She is. I see they're bringing in the paperwork to hire the people, to get them in place. They have all their guidelines on how to sanitize what they have to do, whether it's furniture, no furniture. And not sure, we are going to charge the same prices. We did have memberships. People bought memberships. I know Kobe just sent out an email before there. She was trying to do a survey of people she knew that had memberships. But yesterday, I know that was a question that was going back and forth. Once we established that the prices would be the same, and the fact that the memberships we have received are memberships that mostly are coupled with the beach parking, I believe that we should go forward with the memberships. I know that there's a lot of questions from the board. It could go all different ways, and we certainly can discuss, several different assumptions or whatever. And I'm not saying anybody would be wrong, but that's where we are with that as of now.
Other discussion?
Wait, I'm sorry, Doug, there's one more thing. It's like anything else, and like I said at the beginning, there's no playbook for what's going on with COVID-19, and there's unanticipated challenges. The one thing I can tell you is that the golf team have been successful as far as I'm concerned, and the feedback I'm receiving from everybody. Again, aquatics is taking the same approach. We didn't just, wake up yesterday and say, okay, we're going to do the aquatics just like with golf. They have been working on this. All right.
John, Mr. Chairman,
others. Cammy.
Thank you very much. John, with regard, it sounds to me like we're going to have an N of about 50 people in the pool on these various shifts. Is that correct?
So I believe that, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe the 50 was for the yacht club. The team has it broken out for the pool based upon the guidelines that they received. I believe the yacht club, I should have had it in front of me. It's probably on my desk. I believe it was 50 for the yacht club, right?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
it's fine. I can pull it up.
Okay. If we have 50 people in the pool at the yacht club, and I'm just using that as an example, the course for reservations, is there a priority list for those who get reservations at the yacht club? Is it members and then others? Can you explain to us how that might work?
Sure. So they actually been, Kobe just texted me and said 50 at the yacht. So hold on a second. So I have it in front of me. I have the plan. So it's the yacht club. We believe 50 people. Swim and racket, 57. Beach club would be 30. Mumford's would be 32. The sports core, they're just using for exercise classes and lap swimmers, assuming they can open the roof and everything is all within the guidelines. As far as the reservations, it's going to be a manual process. She got the phones from Michelle, and she'll have people there and they'll be writing them down, but it will be a manual process. But I know a lot of people have had questions on it, but hold on, let me see if she. All right, so right, I know about the face. So, I mean, they're comfortable with it. I know we can say it's going to work, it's not going to work, it's going to be too much, it's not going to be too much. They're willing to do it. Let's see what happens. The same thing with golf. This weekend, obviously, we'll learn a lot. Like I said at the very beginning of the report, unanticipated challenges. Mm-hmm. But the main thing is if you have a team in place who wants it to succeed, I believe it will. Just like with golf. We didn't know what we were going to expect. I was down there a lot of the time for the golf. I can tell you this, it's going to take a lot of hours versus what we had in the past, and especially at a management side. but we have the management team for it, just like we had with golf. But we'll learn. We will learn on Saturday, and we will learn on Sunday. We will regroup after that, and we'll discuss it. And we may make changes, we may not. And we may be ready when, in a week or two, if he expands it to 50% or whatever. That's how it works.
John, just one other follow-up question.
We may get, we may get feedback. We may decide that, go another way. But, we have these amenities. It's our job. It's my job to open them. Obviously, somebody's going to say, well, what about this? What about that? But we'll answer those questions and we will see. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Kevin.
I just have one brief follow-up question, John, and also a compliment to the team that this seems to be a very well thought out process. But a hypothetical that I have been asked on several occasions is we have 50 people in the pool in time slot A. 30 people show up for time slot B, and so we've got 20 extra spaces. Can you tell us how that might work? All 50 people from time slot 1 have to get out for time slot 2 to come in, or would we allow holdovers from time slot 1 to time slot 2?
So, we can go through these scenarios and assumptions. Night.
I know.
But I'm going to answer this because this came up yesterday, and I'm not even totally sure if we even answered it. So one way, and we'll see as we go along, one way all 50 would have to leave. The 30 would be let in, and then we'd go from there. But these are the challenges. And, the same thing with the question, well, if you got a membership, who's going to be first and who's going to be first served? She did send out a list today of how she would do that. So, to me, the 50 would leave, the 30 would come in, and then we go from there.
Thank you, John.
If I may interject, the plan as I read it, thank you. The plan as I read it has everybody leaving, so there's a half-hour cleaning and disinfecting.
Right, that's what I said. All 50 would leave.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so, I guess Colby has some plan for if there aren't, all the reservations aren't taken, how to fill those spots with walk-ins or late reservations. The other question I have, though, is each member, if it's a family membership, for example, one appointment per day, is that how that works?
Hold on,
or can they get reservations, multiple reservations in a single day?
So, hold on, I'm sorry. So just a change from yesterday. As you know, yesterday the team didn't want to open until next week, and we asked to push for the weekend, and they believe they did. They believe now that they can do the yacht club on Friday and the beach club on Saturday, that they have the team in place. As far as the groups, it's basically who calls first. They're actually putting that together as we speak, but they do have a plan on that, and it's basically who calls first.
Okay.
I think it's going to work with the manual with the phones. It's just going to be manpower. It's going to take man hours, but it'll become more efficient next week.
Yeah. So
I think there could be situations, but I don't know. It's been really good at golf. It could be situations when there's turnover, when there's the change. I don't anticipate it, but you never know what happened because there's change here. With change comes chaos sometimes. Yeah. But
let me step in here for a second. So as I mentioned in my president's remarks, I was very encouraged by the folks showing up at the yacht club in a very orderly manner with masks. Understanding that it's a different situation. Everybody that I saw, once they took their masks off, were practicing social distancing, and they adapted. This is another environment that we are bound by regulations from the state, and we want to make sure we comply with those. I want to be as encouraged with the pools as I was with the yacht club. People will understand that this is a fluid situation in the sense that we have some guidelines, but we don't know how people are going to react to those guidelines. I think we have to drive a stake in the ground, which I commend the team. They've done that. And I think John's already and I'm not going to speak for you, John, but I think it's pretty well known that, you're going to be monitoring this situation and adjusting it as we see fit. What we do on Friday at the yacht club, assuming nothing changes and we do open it up, may look very different 2 weeks from now. And it's a situation that needs to be monitored. I would just ask that to make sure that folks that are attending this meeting and folks that would watch this meeting later on in a video, please understand that we're working with a situation that is not to be preventing people from being in the pool, but actually encouraging them to come to the pool and follow the rules. That's what we want to do, and we'll get out of this. And I have every confidence that the people that attend these, these time slots will be aware and will be respectful of the situation, the schedule, and all that goes along with this very intriguing and special environment that none of us has ever been associated with. So while I suspect there will be, maybe a person or two that would disagree with the time slots and have some complaint, we have to expect that. I would just ask that all the folks that are wanting to come to the pool, we want them to come to the pool. Just be aware that there's a lot of thought that's been going into this, that it's a collaborative effort. At the end of the day, if everybody understands what's going on, we do our job in communicating, they do their job in understanding and complying, I think we'll have a very good experience. So communication is the key right now, and an understanding that we'll continue to monitor the situation as it develops. Other discussion?
Yeah, I have a few things.
Larry.
Yeah, before I get into the financials on this, I do have a couple questions or issues that I wanted to raise. First off, this idea of membership priority in the reservation process, I think that opens us up for problems with the IRS, just like the beach parking. And I think that that trying to give priority to somebody is just going to create a lot of problems for us. So if we're going to do this, I think it needs to be, first come, first serve, whether they're members, whether they're homeowners here, or whether they're from outside the community. I mean, that's where we got in trouble before, because we limited our amenities to the outside. So I have a real concern about that. Which leads to the membership issue. We have all seen a couple of the emails already where people have made the comment that, well, I'm a member, so I should get priority on the times. So from what I've seen from the couple emails we've gotten already, that's going to be an issue. My recommendation is that we just not have summer memberships, that it be a complete pay-as-you-go. Those individuals who have sent money in for memberships for the summer, my suggestion is we refund the money. John can work out the difference between pool number and the parking number, and if they want to keep the parking pass, then that would be fine. But I just, looking at the pool cards issue, looking at the couple emails that we've already gotten, if we have to close the pools down again for some reason, which I hope doesn't happen, but you don't know what the governor's going to do. We're going to be going through the same problem with these memberships as we're going through with the pool cards. So I think we need to think about that. Again, my suggestion would be that we don't do the memberships. I am very concerned about the enforcement and conflict resolution that has been, just briefly discussed. My expectation, and I think it's John's expectation, that our senior management be here at the pools on Saturday and Sundays, which are going to be the biggest days. And while I would like to think that, our residents are going to try to play by the rules and be cooperative, I'm not so sure about people coming from outside or renters who may be using the pool. So I think we need to make sure we have a conflict resolution plan here, because we can hope that nothing's going to happen, but I can anticipate that there are going to be problems.
Did we have one for the golf course?
No.
Yeah, but I don't know that we needed one there, Tom, because we weren't limited.
Guys, way to be recognized by the chair. Larry still has the floor.
Yeah, I don't think we really had any conflict at all there, Tom, because everybody, you weren't limiting 25%. That's the big difference here, is we're only going to allow people in. They're going to come and they're going to go. So I think that's a different situation. That's just my opinion. The other issue I wanted to address before I get into the financials, John had mentioned that Ralph, in his mind, opening up the beach club and the yacht club was going to have a big impact on the food and beverage. Well, after looking at the numbers that I'm going to talk about here, I think it's irrelevant. So if that's entering into the decision, in my opinion, that's irrelevant. But let me get into the numbers. So, and I hate to be the wet blanket on this thing, but as the chief financial officer, I want to make sure everybody understands what we're talking about, dollar-wise, and impact on the assessments. And before I get into these, Doug, I'd like to ask you, excuse me, I'd like to ask to have the email I sent in response to Steve today. I think all the board members got it, to have it entered into the minutes by unanimous consent. I'd like to have that on in the record. You just need to ask if everybody's okay.
Yeah, so noted. And there's been a request to have the referenced email entered into the meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion to do so, since we are still under new business.
Motion, you just need to make sure nobody objects. If there's no objections, it's fine.
Seeing none, Colette,
Okay.
I'm sorry, Cammie, as secretary, would you please make sure that that email is entered into the minutes for this meeting?
Yes, they will.
If you don't have it, Cammie, I'll provide it to you. Okay, so let's talk about the numbers. So let's start at what we budgeted for the pools this year. We budgeted revenue of $887,000. We budgeted expenses at about $990,000. So we budgeted a loss for the pools of about $102,000. That impact on the assessment, which was built into the budget, was $12.17. Not a big deal when we consider, as you know, when we looked at things were going well. The revenue, John and I have talked about the expenses here. Our expenses are not going to go down. And in fact, John thinks they may even go up because of the enhanced cleaning and monitoring and controls that's going to have to go when we open the pools up. So the numbers, if our income for the pools is reduced to 25%, which is a distinct possibility, the loss goes from $102,000 to $768,000. If we obtain 50% of the projected revenue, the loss now goes to $546,000, which is better, but it's still not great. So what does that do for the assessment dollars? Okay. If we only obtain 25%, that adds another about $79 to our assessment next year. If we go 50%, it adds about $52 next year. Now, that doesn't seem like it's too bad, all in all, when you think about it. But what I need to make sure everybody understands now, and the community understands, not just the board, that John and I, in our discussions, we believe overall our operational loss this year could be in the $1.5 to $2 million area. We don't know for sure, but we certainly know it's going to be a large number.
Can I go next?
So with those numbers.
Stand by. Stand by. Larry, go ahead. Continue.
Excuse me. So with those numbers, with a $1.5 million operational loss this year, excuse me, that adds $178 to the assessment. If it's a $2 million loss, it adds $236. By opening the pools, if we lose the 75% revenue, that's going to bring an additional, if you include the 1.5 million loss, that brings an add to the assessment of about $256. If it's $2 million and 25% of revenue, it's $315. If it's only the 50%, if we get 50% of the revenue, which is better, the number would be $230. And if it's a $2 million loss, it would be $289. So my concern is that everyone understand today that by opening the pools at 25% of revenue or 50% of revenue, the impact that we're going to be looking at when we get to January and February. So, I mean, I think that has to, whether you want to consider it or not, I think you need to hear it. And I want to make sure everyone does hear it, because these are not fantasy numbers. They are projections, no doubt, but these are serious numbers.
Can I go now?
No, I actually, hold on. I actually have John, then Colette, and then Tom.
What?
Oh.
John, you were next.
Yeah, actually, it's been so long I can't remember what I was going to.
I can go.
I was going to say, but I could. No. Let me jump. Let me first. I'm trying to think what it was that I was going to say, but go ahead. I'll pass for now.
All right,
Okay,
Colette, you were up next.
What?
Colette's got her hand raised. You got to look.
I didn't know you had to raise a hand.
Tom, there on the status bar, there is a little icon where you can raise your hand and be the next one in line. So, but Colette and then Tom. Colette.
Unmute.
Colette, you're muted.
Unmute.
Yeah, and there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Larry, you had talked about your concern about the resident, non-resident thing. And as I see the limited quantities opening reservation plan, I see that the pool will open to residents only. That pool members will get first priority on the reservations. So that, what you're talking about, I think, is OPA member, non-member issue. But if we're only opening it to residents, I think I would be in favor of keeping the pool memberships in place. And since the members are losing some time on their membership, to allow the pool members to have that reservation priority. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, and Colette, my point is, I don't think we can limit it just to OPA members or pool members. Okay. We have to keep the system open to everyone. That's my opinion.
And we don't have an accountant or legal opinion on that.
Well, we have an IRS rule.
We have an IRS rule.
Okay.
Yeah, that keep our 501c4 status. All right.
Okay.
Tom, you're next.
Okay. I have massive objections to everything you said. I don't remember when we opened the golf course having this exact same discussion. How much money we're going to lose at the golf course because we can only put one person per cart, which limits people going to play golf, therefore sending people away. Do we know if those were members or if they were out-of-town guests? We have no idea. We didn't have this conversation about tennis, period. Never. There's money going to be lost at every amenity we have this year. There's no way around it. Plain and simple. You cannot single out the pools because for whatever reason, I can't figure out that we're going to have a problem with people going in and going out of them. We'll figure it out the same way we figured out the fact that we could do the yacht club, the same way we figured out that we could do golf, and the same way we figured out we could do tennis and racket sports. I really have a huge problem that we're going over all of these numbers, and I didn't see one set of numbers that has anything to do with how much money we might lose in golf. I'll finish. Hold on, John. I got a whole list. And I don't see any numbers on how much we might lose there or with tennis, even though I know we're gonna. Also, you're talking about we can't prioritize for members, but the yacht club has always prioritized for year-round members from 8 to 12 every morning. They give them their lap swim, and it's been for all of the people that have yearly memberships. So that happens already. Maybe it's not. Maybe we haven't called the IRS and let them know, but it happens. Where else was I? got a whole bunch. I just really have a problem with this in that we're going into so much detail about how much money we might lose. We're supposed to have 200 to 400,000 deaths from COVID. That didn't happen. I'm tired of speculating. We're going to lose money. Everybody knows it. You cannot make a spectacle or a point to just give away aquatics because it's harder to open. There's my problem. I just don't even like the fact that we went through all these numbers, but I never heard any when we opened golf the day after Hogan said we could do it, or 2 days. I'm done now.
Hold on. Frank, you were next, and then John.
Okay. I mean, a couple of things, look, one thing we have not talked about, and it deals with the reservations and deals with whether we can prioritize our assessment paying homeowners, above anybody else, is this. We have no idea what the hell the demand is going to be. I mean, people may want to stay away from the pools because they're afraid. So we're in a supply and demand thing where we know we have a fixed supply right now of pool spaces. We have no idea what the demand will be. Now, going to the beach club today, I would say I think the demand's going to be okay, but it's not certain. And it's just like everything. Look, nobody in a homeowners association that I am aware of has ever had to manage their way through a pandemic in a highly amenitized community where you've had government mandated capacity restraints. And that's what we're in. And I think that we just approach it this way with the folks. The amenities are part of the community. We're going to open them up. We have deep, deep concerns on the part of people about personal safety. And I don't, security is the wrong word, but how we want to make sure that behavior at all the amenities leads to a safe outcome for everybody. It may not. We may have to regroup based on that. We may have to regroup in 2 weeks based on what we're seeing in terms of people coming into the pool, how the reservation system works. We've never run a reservation system before here for pools, and we're trying to put it together. So we got to give this stuff time, open it with the idea that we're going to open our amenities to the homeowners. One thing everybody has to understand, the losses this year will be staggering. There is no goddamn way out of it. There are people emailing, can I have a reduction? No, you can't have a reduction in your fees because I'll tell you why. The cost of the amenities are going up because of government regulations, and the capacity is going down to cover the cost. So costs go up and income is going down, and that's not a time to cut your prices. So all that stuff we have to just live with, work our way through. What I might suggest is we might want to regroup in a couple weeks to see how it goes before we do anything in terms of increasing or decreasing our capacity, because we're truly in uncharted waters. Teams doing the best they can, but it's extraordinarily difficult to do something for the first time and be right every time.
Thank you, Frank. John, you're next, and then Cammie.
Thank you, Doug. Tom, we're talking about pools. I'm not sure how golf got in there, not sure how racket sports got in there, but I will answer. And maybe you truly believe that there were no discussions on what we would lose or what the effects were with golf and tennis. But I have to tell you, it's not true. We did talk about it, Tom. There was a lot of talk about it. when I estimated that we might do 25%, I even said it when I talked about golf, and John and I tracked every day. We're up around 60%. We figured out what, where, why. But in the beginning, just taking the numbers, assuming maybe we would have 25% or whatever, with everything was going on, we did a lot better. But we gave estimates on what we believed it would lose, gave estimates for April. So, maybe you weren't there or whatever, and I understand that. But, we're talking about the pools. I don't know how golf got in there. And I understand your point if you didn't know that, but we did do it. We did. So, focus on the numbers, what the CFO's trying to tell you about the pools. That's where you should be focused. Okay, but what I estimated we would lose in golf, we did a lot better. And I'm trying to figure out and tell you why I believe we were successful. All right?
Can I answer?
Nope, Cammie's next.
Thank you. First of all, Larry, I appreciate your analysis of everything that's going on here, and you're right, we are in uncharted waters. For the people that are listening in at home, I would like to just add that yesterday I spent a considerable amount of time on the phone calling organizations that are similar to us, calling organizations like Rehoboth Beach Country Club, Maryland Golf and Country Club in Bel Air, to find out what they were actually doing about this. And I think that we are on the right track, and I appreciate so much the work that Colby and her team has done. Larry, I am not convinced from talking to other lawyers that are dealing with these issues that our 501c4 would suffer an immediate hardship because we are not letting people in who are coming from the outside. I think this is uncharted waters, but I certainly would be willing to support an initiative if and when anything ever came up that said that we were liable for eliminating people from the outside, from the hotels, etc., who are coming in, and that would violate our 501c4. I'm not finding that other lawyers are being concerned about that because these are extraordinary conditions, and I think that certainly one of the things that we have in our favor is we need to isolate our population to the extent possible. Larry, at the end of the discussion, I'd really like to have your reaction to that because I respect your numbers and I think that you're doing a very good job with all of that. But I'm not seeing that on any of my listservs or in the American Bar Association conversations that I've had with people that are working in the HOA area, and I'd be happy to provide you with that information. So I for one, Larry, would really like to see us, for a specific amount of time, limit the access to the pools to those who are residents and members of Ocean Pines, and to really kind of, in the interest of infection control and other strategic planning, limit it to just that number of people so that our residents who live here year-round, our residents who own here, and this is a second home, have primary access to the pools, which are very important, I know, to me and to a lot of other people as well. So thank you, Doug.
Tom's next and then me.
All right, if I can answer you, John, I don't doubt for a second that you guys went over the numbers and the losses in golf. I don't doubt that you went over it with your team for tennis and racket sports. What I can tell you is there are 24 people on this meeting, probably 10, 12 more than we've ever had before. And we never, for those two amenities or any other amenity, discussed the massive loss like we're discussing now in the public. Granted, we're having a board meeting, but maybe we should have had a special meeting when we opened golf, and maybe we should have had one when we opened tennis. To me, what this looks like, it looks like a scare tactic to try and close. And I know you're in, John, that you want the pools to open. I know you've talked to everybody, but for some reason, we're throwing these big
I don't know
numbers.
why you pick up. He's addressing me, so I have to answer it, Doug.
No. I'm not picking on you. I said I know you want.
Oh, believe me, Tom. You're not picking on me. I'm trying to answer, trying to give you information like I always do.
Let me finish. Though. Okay, we didn't do this.
Tom.
I know. All right, so I'll bring your name out of it. I'm sorry. We didn't address this in public. This never came up where we were going to lose $2 million, $3 million, $248 on assessments last year. I mean, to me, you've got 24 people, probably 14 of them, of which are homeowners listening, and they're scared to death. Now they're going, oh, maybe we shouldn't open the pools because we're going to have to pay $250 more next year. Well, nobody knows what that number is. And frankly, I'm not real happy that we did it this way. John makes the decision to open the amenities. He decided to open the amenities. We decided to have a discussion. Thank you, Larry, for putting all the numbers together. I appreciate it. But I never saw them, and nobody else anywhere heard them for any of the other amenities. Nobody in the public did, at least. I can tell you that for a fact. So
Let me address this.
go ahead.
Hold on. I'm next. All right. 3 things in this discussion. Number 1, the 501c4 status. Cammie, I thinking along the same lines with you. I think that we could indeed be able to say without any issue that we had to limit it due to these extenuating circumstances. Okay. The reason back in 2009, I think it was, we had unintended revenue, unintended income. That's what it's called, right? And to the point of like $400,000 that they said, you know what? That's not really, what is it? What's the social causes or whatever? For an HOA that's supposed to be a nonprofit. So that's why we got hit with that 501c4 ruling. Okay, I'm pretty sure we'd be safe in using the idea that we'll limit the membership. I'm sorry, limit the pool usage to members only. Now, that being said, to go back to what we talked about earlier about shifts, all right, you got 50 people in the first shift, and we've got 30 people in the second shift, which means there's 20 open spots. Let's assume, for argument's sake, that the 50 people that were in the first slot are ready to go home. They're going to eat lunch and they're going to continue their day, not at the pool. All right. And if we set a precedent that nobody other than members could come to the pool, with the revenue shortfall, we're looking at 20 potential slots that could have given us some amount of revenue that we sort of legislated ourselves out of the ability to collect that revenue. So it's a conundrum one way or the other. I think that begs the idea of saying, you know what, you got to look at it on a daily basis. And I know John and his team are going to do that. They're going to look at it. We said that earlier. I said it earlier. It's a fluid situation. They're going to look at it. They're going to assess it. They're going to make adjustments. And you know what? Then the state's going to make adjustments. And then we're going to come back and make more adjustments and so on and so forth. The second thing the third thing, so it was 501c4, limit the residence. Third thing is, Larry, I appreciate your numbers. Although I would say that, with numbers like that, I understand your point. I just want to make sure that everybody is either listening to this meeting or that will watch this meeting later and say those are projections. We made a projection of only wanting to being able to collect 25% of the assessments by May 1st, and we exceeded that number. We felt there was only going to be 25% worth of the golf amenities. John's telling me that they exceeded that number. So right. I also want to just make sure that the people that are listening understand that, that's a projection. It also presupposes that we want to make up the deficit in a single year. We've had a deficit before, and we didn't make it up in a single year. All right. So I think the numbers are good, but those numbers, the people who are listening have to understand those are outliers. Okay. That doesn't mean if we open the pools and we suffer a $1.5 million loss that the assessments automatically go up by $274. We have to manage that because there's two other factors. Number one, the idea of unintended good consequences of getting the revenue that we hadn't expected because of participation. People are following the rules, and I'm being very optimistic here, obviously. And the second thing is to make a decision at the board level that we would want to recoup all that money in a single year. And I don't think that maybe we don't consider that. But anyway, just to everybody's point that's listening, I just want to make sure that it's important to know the numbers, okay? It's important to know the projections. It's important to know the kind of parameters we're using as we go through our decision-making process, okay? They're not final numbers, but I think it's good so the public understands we've vetted this, we've gone through it. There are a lot of things that we have to consider. Frank mentioned uncharted waters. We're in uncharted waters right now, so we're doing our best to make sure that we cover all our bases and we get as much information as possible. As Cammie mentioned, she's looking on listservs for the legal opinions. Larry's got numbers. John's got operational stuff. Colette, Tom, and I have a passion for making sure that everything goes right. And I think combined, we're in a pretty good position given these circumstances. Are we going to lose money? Are we going to come in the red on our budget next year? Yes, we will. Okay, plain and simple. Yes, we will. Nobody could have predicted that. Rather than worry about it, our best approach is to manage it. Manage under those conditions and understand that we have to put our best effort forward to make sure that we do whatever possible to make sure that we try to minimize those intended losses. So I just want to make sure that those listening understand that, hey, guess what? We don't want you to don't take those numbers and run away scared. Take those numbers and saying, here are the parameters that we're looking at and the kinds of things we have to think through when we arrive at at a decision. All right. So I believe, John, you were next.
Thank you, Doug. So again, I'd rather focus on the pool, but with the golf, there were discussions, there were dollar amounts. I think what happened there was we turned around and opened golf within a day and a half from the announcement. John did want 3 or 4 days. John and I had many, many talks, not emails, talks going back and forth. I felt we were prepared. If we did do 25% of business, and depending on how much expenses, what I thought we needed, we thought we could possibly lose $300,000-$400,000 more. That was discussed. Same thing with the racket. We opened it quick. Kobe had some questions on members versus outside members. We came up with solutions like that. We also gave a quick number, what we thought we could or not lose. So, look, I'm just saying it was addressed. I think what's happening here is that it happened so quick, there just didn't happen to be a board meeting somewhere in there. In my numbers when I present, which you heard me say earlier, I said we were doing better in golf than what I anticipated and gave the numbers. That brings me into what I'm saying here is this. We should open it. We will learn from it and we'll see. It does look to me like there will be bigger losses. What I'm listening here is Larry's the CFO, and he's, and if Tom wants to address what he's saying on the pools, by all means, that's his business, Tom, but I would focus on that, the golf. As far as Larry, and I know Camilla got in there before me, in yesterday's meeting, when we talked with the team and several board members, and it came up about the outside members or swimmers and how that would affect our status or whatever, I believed that, hey, let's try it for this weekend. Let's just say Ocean Pines. It is COVID-19. These are trying times. I believe we'd be fine, and we'd go from there. I don't believe with everything's going on that would affect us. Now, I'm not saying do this for a year. I'm saying that we could start that way, and I don't believe we would have a problem. I really don't. And that seems consistent with what Camilla said. Now, again, I'm talking about the next several weeks until we see how well this plays out. And quite honestly, look, Larry, the numbers, those are your numbers at this point right now. But, I had this situation 2 years ago when I was on BNF. What luck I put together, and I informed the board that I believed that the budget brought forth was excessively optimistic for food and beverage. Excessively optimistic, and I was trying to be polite. Well, we lost $1 million and everything else would happen. I actually had people blame me. We still got the emails to the board, blame me for being BNF chair. What luck, and they told the forensic auditors it was because of me. What luck I had that letter. What luck I updated the board. Doug, I know you know what I'm talking about. Look, Larry, you're the CFO. Those are your numbers. You need to support them now. If Tom has questions or anybody else, they have the right and they should ask them.
All right. Hold on. No, Colette was next. Colette, and then Cammie, and then Larry.
Yeah, I want to thank Cammie for the legal research she did, and thank Larry for the work and John, the work they did on the numbers. I feel comfortable with the plan that was emailed to us, the opening plan, and the reservation plan that was given to us by the management staff. I think that it is a fluid situation. I'm expecting that we will have senior management on site in this first week or so. so that the success of this can be monitored and any changes that are needed will take place so that it becomes a more seamless and effective process. I hope that the people listening to this meeting are not scared by Larry's numbers. I think it's responsible of him to give us those numbers so that we know what we may be facing. But I know that that is not meant to scare anybody off from making a decision that the pool should or shouldn't be open. I think if we did not share those numbers, we would be remiss. Certainly, if we find that we meet those numbers, we would have been very remiss in not sharing that possibility, those projections up front. We can hope that the projections are more dismal than the actuality, but I think we need that transparency with those numbers, and I appreciate Larry giving us that. So I would say that I'm in support of this plan. I think the team has done a great job thinking it through, doing their research, and I trust that modifications will be made as needed.
Thank you. Cammie.
Just a very brief addition to what Colette has said. And I've told you guys this a number of times. I have never worked with such a wonderful group of smart people before. I was so glad that I was elected to the board because you guys really form a very dynamic team. And I hope the people that are listening are appreciative of that. We each have areas of expertise that we bring to the table. And I'm so proud to be a part of this. And Colette, I think the only remaining thing that I really want to say about this is I hope that we have as much success with pools as we did with golf. Sometimes the road can be a little rugged where you have waiting lines to get into the pool. I, for one, will personally go over to the pool if needed or asked, and not being intrusive, to see if there is any help needed by Colby and her staff. But I kind of doubt that there will be. At least I'm going to be optimistic, and I'll turn it back over to you, Doug.
Larry's next, and then John.
Okay, well, let me just address a couple things. I sort of got the feel from Tom that he feels that I'm directly attacking the aquatics operation, and that's not my intent at all. My job as a CFO is to make sure that what I see as a possibility gets passed on to my fellow board members. That's what I'm doing. I'm a pool guy. I live down the street from the Swim and Racket Club. My wife and I use the pool all the time. I've been a swimmer my whole life. I've been a lifeguard. So it doesn't thrill me that that based on the numbers I'm looking at, and I hope the numbers are wrong, that we could be facing significant losses. I'm going to beat that dead horse. But again, in regard to our 501c4, again, I wanted to make sure everybody understands, while I agree with Cammie that it's probably not a real concern, but it's an issue we need to talk about. And I think from a financial standpoint, everybody needs to understand that this is what we could be looking at. I'm not trying to scare anybody, just trying to make sure everybody understands what we're dealing with. And listen, like I said, I'm a pool person. I love going to the pool. But if I didn't bring these numbers to everyone, then next January or February, there's no doubt in my mind what I would be hearing is, nobody told me. Nobody told me. Well, I'm letting everybody know now this is a possibility. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that John and I are wrong thinking that we could lose $1.5 million this year without the pool. I hope we're wrong, because ultimately we've got to pay for it one way or the other.
All right, John.
Thank you, Doug. First, Larry, you're the CFO. That's fine. You're doing your job. I agree that you're doing your job. I, for one, don't want to get into projections on what's going to happen down the road in this type of environment, but you know I do. You did your own on this, that's fine, you're the CFO. But here's something that you all need to hear, and I thought I said it yesterday, and the same thing with the golf, is that actions taken by the team, decisions made by this board, specifically with the PPP, gives us the opportunity to do this. That, to me, is the intent of PPP, to keep people employed, the reason and the purpose. We have this money now. We gave it a shot with golf. Let's give it a shot with aquatics, especially now when we have that situation, and let's see what happens. But that also weighed into my decision to open them, and I still feel we should. And look, I'm not going to question your numbers right now, Larry, and I'm not going to say there probably will be bigger losses, but that's all I'm going to say right now. But I probably would have been wrong a couple of weeks ago with what I was predicting and what I told you all we were going to lose with golf. But we monitor it, we're reviewing it, you all know that, and we're tracking it. And we're learning each day, and it'll be the same thing with this. And maybe there are some things that are different here, but we'll find out over the next couple of days.
Tom?
All right. I just want to go back to, and look, I appreciate Larry going through the numbers. He's the CFO, and I know for a fact that John and his team are going to do wonderful with the aquatics. There's no question in my mind. They did it with golf. I'm not doubting any of that. Colette said we would be remiss if we didn't report these numbers to the public and let them know. But we didn't report all the other amenity numbers to the public and let them know. That's my only statement. That's all I got. So we didn't say that the yacht club is going to lose a ton of money. Should we not maybe open the yacht club? That's all I'm saying. And it's okay. Look, I'm just saying it's an extreme statement. Did we have a meeting and tell everybody online that this is how much we might lose and this is how much the assessments might go up? Because I missed it. Did we set a public statement that went out in the Gazette or in Ocean Pines Association and said there's a possibility we're going to open golf now, but there's a possibility we could lose $3 million and your assessment might go up? That's what I'm saying. I'm all in agreement with the plan. I was in the meeting yesterday, and I think that they're going to do great. And I'm here to help in any way I can. I just simply feel that there wasn't a reason to throw those out there to the public. We didn't throw any others. And we just didn't. It didn't come out anywhere.
Golf, I disagree.
Where did you?
Hold on.
No, if you disagree, tell me where we sent them out.
Because you keep bringing
Hold
it up.
on.
Stated the topic of pools. We talked about it with PPP. We talked
But-
about how much we could lose. We also talked about, it's hard to predict. I had updates with this board. We just didn't have to have a board meeting that one night. We turned around the golf in one day.
Well,
All right, guys, gentlemen,
I had the
your
PPP.
points
Keep bringing it
are
up.
taken.
I said I had the PPP money, and I have it with this. Stick with the pool with him. That's fine. You're doing the right thing, but don't bring in the golf and the racket sports or anything else. We did do it. Stick to the pools.
Look, I don't have to stick to the pools. We didn't do it with this the same way. You didn't report it in the paper, report it to the Ocean Pines Association that this is how much we might lose and this is how much the assessment might go up.
That's the answer. We didn't have a board meeting like this. First of all, you know what? You and Larry talk about it.
Okay, I will.
Everything for golf that we're doing with this.
Gentlemen, both your points are well taken. I think we've touched on the issue. I think everybody's heard enough about understanding where you both sit on that issue. Next person who wanted to talk is Frank.
Well, look, the only thing I can say, Larry, appreciate the numbers. I understand where everybody's coming from. But again, we're in a situation where we're really managing, at the end of the day, guys, the state of Maryland and a large part of the country in 14-day increments. This virus is going to take us where it's going to take us. We have to manage in a 14-day increment or something close to it, be on top of it. And we have a good team to do that. We have a good team at the board level, a good team at the operations level. Let's just see what happens and work our way through it. And at each checkpoint, put the best management and the best guidance, and from the board, the best oversight possible and we'll get through it with the least amount of damage. I'm not saying not damage free, least amount of damage. And that's what I think we should do.
Yep. Point taken, Frank. Other discussion? All right, let me end on a hopefully a positive note. Again, I do like having, and I think it's not only I do like, but it's our responsibility to have these discussions in public, so that everybody understands all the nuances, where we're all coming from, and that it's a group effort from different perspectives to allow us to arrive at the at any decision. John, and just for the people that are watching the meeting, we're not requiring a vote. This is a discussion. This is an operational issue. John has already, made the recommendation from his perspective that he's moving forward with opening the pools. As a board, we just wanted to make sure that if we collectively or individually had any questions regarding some of the nuances of opening those pools, we'd get them answered today. Quite frankly, with the information that was presented by John and his team to all of us on, the time slots, the individual ways they're going to, double check and operate the pool in this particular unique situation, then I think to a person, but if anybody disagrees, tell me now. But I think to a person, we agree that we're comfortable with this moving forward, and that we're confident that the team will will do that. Frank, I like your analogy of this 14-day cycle. Every 14 days, it's probably knowing John, and I'm not gonna make you look too great here, John, but knowing John is probably going to be on a daily basis. He's going to look at it and understand what's going on and continue to reassess, Kaizen, the theory of continuous improvement, so you go through that and you make sure that doing it. So unless anybody has any more conversations, I'll entertain the idea of, closing the conversations off and the discussion here. Larry, since you raised your hand, I'll give you the final shot.
I just have one comment. I just want to make sure everybody understands that I have all the confidence in John and his team to do this appropriately. I just wanted to make sure everybody understands I'm behind this 100%, but I needed to make sure everybody heard these numbers.
Yeah, I understand.
All right. So with that, I will close the floor for that item and move into the next item on the agenda, and that's an appointment. We have one appointment, Frank Biancaniello, second term of golf. I'll entertain a motion to accept his appointment for his advisory committee.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, and happy birthday.
Any questions on Frank's appointment? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of appointing Frank Biancaniello as the second term on the golf advisory committee, we'll do roll call. Myself, yes. Cammie?
You're muted, Cammie.
Just wave yes. Just wave if you say yes. Okay. Colette?
Yep.
Tom?
Yep.
Larry?
Yep.
Frank?
Yes.
All right, very good. He's appointed. Please enter that in the minutes. Next item on the agenda is a motion for adjournment, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor? I'm not going to do a roll call. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.